And then I felt God speak to me and said, Bridgette, all those years that you watched Kirk and Candace on TV, doing all the things that you wanted to do, all of these, you know, things, and you felt overlooked. You felt that I had forgotten about you. I've never forgotten about you.
Our next guest has a powerful message to share in her new book, Overlooked. And I'm honored to have had an up-close look at how God has moved in her life, introducing my little sister, Bridgette Cameron Ridenour. I'm so excited that you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming in and
of course.
being on our show.
I feel like, you know, remembering the times that we worked together on
That's
the set.
right, because we worked together on the sets of, well, Full House, Candace's show, and then also Growing Pains.
Yeah, just visiting and stuff. So
yeah, and all of the stand-in work and all of the little, and even the little guest parts that you've had as well.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about your book.
Thank
I mean,
you.
You know, I think that this topic of feeling overlooked is such an interesting topic, and it's one that's so relatable for so many people. And, you know, starting out with our background, so we grew up, the four of us kids, mom and dad, and so many people have heard of Candace. You know, she's the queen of the family movies and the Full House girl, and she's all the different programs she's been a part of, and people grew up on Growing Pains. But we both knew that the one with all of the acting talent, with the singing talent, the dancing talent, was you. I mean, you were the natural performer in the family. I was the little performer
in the family. Yeah, I just loved it. It just, I mean, mom and dad, they didn't have any kind of, you know, entertainment background or anything. So where this came from is just, you know,
no, and
like
I never wanted to be an actor. I'm not sure about Candace, but this whole thing that happened to Mike Seaver and to DJ Tanner was really the dream that you had ever since you were a little girl.
Yeah.
We always loved when you would get up on stage, or you would create a stage at home, and you would put on shows, and you would dance, and you would sing, and you would act things out, and it was always hilarious. And when we first went to go visit the talent agent in Hollywood, California, we all assumed that you would be the one who would emerge as this talent star.
Well, that's one of the reasons why mom and dad, well, mom really brought us there, was because she thought that I would be the one to get picked. And it ended up just not being that, but mom finally agreed to it because she said, Bridgette's the little performer. And if anyone would want to do it, she would.
So Bridgette, tell the story. Mom had a friend who was the mother of Adam Rich, the little boy on 8 is Enough.
Yeah.
And she kept saying to our parents, you should take the kids down to the agent and see if they could audition for her, and then they could be in TV as well. So mom took us down there, and what happened?
We went to the agent, Iris Burton, and Iris was the agent in Hollywood. Any kid on TV, you saw their pictures on her walls. And she was just, she could pull out the talented one, the cream of the crop.
Who were some of the kids that she represented?
Oh my goodness, Ricky Schroeder, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, Alyssa Milano, like any child actor that you saw on TV. So we went in there just noticing their pictures, but Iris had us read a commercial side and a theatrical side, each one of us. You went first.
A side is a script.
Yeah, a side is a script. So you got to read your scripts first.
And I think mine was something like, hey mom, let's go to McDonald's.
Yeah. Yeah, and He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe.
That's right, that's right.
And then Melissa and I got to read, Isn't Barbie Pretty? You know, and then...
And she was looking for talent. She was looking for that little magic factor, that it factor.
Yeah, and so when it was all over, Iris said, Barbara, I'd like to take Kirk right away. He just has a look. I really think he'd do well. I'd like to take Melissa and start her. Bring Candace back when she's 6, because I don't start them until they're 6 years old. And my mom was like, great. But what about Bridgette? That's why we're here.
About Bridgette?
When is she going to start? And Iris said she's going to need some work with her teeth, with braces. I'm not going to pick Bridgette today. And mom was crushed. And it was just kind of like this, wait a minute. I didn't come here for Kirk or for Melissa or anything. We were here for Bridgette. So
And so you just needed to wait a little while, and then Mom came back a year later or a couple years later.
Candace
and then
started.
Melissa ended up doing other things. Candace got chosen to be represented, and she went on to do Full House. And what did Iris say about you?
She just needs more work with her teeth. I had a very long journey with braces, and just so it never
really happened.
It never happened.
You had braces for about 10 years, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So by the time you got the braces off, Iris was no longer working as an agent.
Correct.
And it was like, wait a minute, this whole opportunity just passed me by. Bridgette, you also had an unbelievably exciting opportunity to audition for the Wizard of Oz musical. Tell us about that.
Yeah, finally, when I got my braces off, I did audition. I was with another agent, and she had sent me out for an audition for the traveling musical of the Wizard of Oz, a Los Angeles tour. And they were looking for munchkins. And it was perfect for me because I'm 4'11". You know,
right.
I fit the height
you
requirement.
You can sing, you can dance.
I can sing, I can dance. This was a perfect opportunity. So I went to the audition, and they had us in groups. We had to sing in a group, we had to dance in a group, and then come together and just kind of all do it together. And at one point, the choreographer came to me and said, "Come with me." And she pulled me to the corner of the dance studio and taught me a completely different routine.
Yeah, because you were just picking it up like this.
Things
You're
up
so
pretty
good.
quickly. And so she's like, "I'm going to teach you something else." So she did. And she said to me, "You're very, very good." And so I came back with the group, and we all auditioned like normal. And a few people came up to me and said, "Are you ready to go on tour? Because you just nailed that audition." And I thought this was it. This is the big break that I have been waiting for years. And a couple weeks later, I got a call from my agent, and she said, "Bridgette, I'm sorry. They didn't choose you." And I said, there's got to be a mistake. Like, they pulled me out separately. They told me how good I was. That, you know, they said height really doesn't really matter. We can put you in different areas. And to hear that I didn't get it, I thought there has to be a mistake, and there wasn't. They didn't choose me that day, and that was the moment where I knew that my desire of possibly being on TV, possibly performing, was probably not going to happen.
There was another significant event that happened in the life of your family during a road trip to Nashville. Tell us that story.
Well, you can remember, as us kids, we loved road tripping with Mom and Dad. We had
the VW bus.
The VW bus with the cooler, you know, with the Cheerios and all of that. Well, we were traveling to Nashville. You were hosting the K-Love Awards and asked if we'd like to go. So I thought road tripping with my family now would be just so much fun. So we headed out, and we got to Groom, Texas. And on the way through Groom, a dirt storm came through the area. And I'm familiar with dirt storms, but this was definitely something different. Once we got into the dirt, it basically blacked out our car. We could not see past the windshield of the car. And so John was driving. He slowed down. It's only a 2-lane highway going each direction. And so he slowed down. Visibility was 0. But he did finally see the back end of a semi-truck that was stopped with its hazards on. So he stopped, and he turned in the back. I was sitting in the back, and he said to me, "I need to move the car. I don't feel comfortable." And I said, "Okay." So he moved our car to the shoulder next to the semi-truck that we were just behind to kind of block that wind and that dirt. Well, no more than just seconds after we had moved the car, another semi-truck going 75 miles an hour did not stop, and it slammed into the back of the semi-truck that we were just behind. The cab of the truck was crushed. It caught fire. Unfortunately, that driver did pass away. And God spoke to me in that moment to get Reese. Reese was in the very back of the car, to get her next to Cameron and I in the middle seat. And so I did. I buckled her in. And no sooner than I buckled her in, another semi-truck came at full speed, hit the back of our car, and pushed us down into a ravine and wedged itself in between the truck that was on fire and our car. And we were stuck. We couldn't get out. And the driver jumped out of his truck and said, "You need to get out. The trucks are on fire." And so it was still very dark with now this fire and this smoke and the wind and everything. I was able to get the kids out and John out, and we ran over to the side of the road to some people that were there. But through that moment, it was so chaotic. There was so much commotion because there were 5 semi-trucks that were involved in our car. And there was so much commotion going on. But during that time, God kept putting in my visual Jeremiah 29:11. And he kept putting it over and over and over. And in that moment, Kirk, I couldn't tell you what that verse was, but he was definitely trying to get me to notice it or to comprehend it. And so when we were finally taken to our motel in Groom, I knew there was a Bible because everything that we had was in the car and it was, gone. So when we got to the motel, I knew there was a Bible in the nightstand and I went to it. I opened it up. I turned to Jeremiah 29:11, and that was the moment that God gave me my life verse. For I know the plans I have for you, not to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you hope and a future. And then I felt God speak to me and said, Bridgette, all those years that you watched Kirk and Candace on TV, doing all the things that you wanted to do, all of these, things, and you felt overlooked. You felt that I had forgotten about you. I've never forgotten about you. And I have a plan and a purpose for you in your life, but you have to trust me that it's in my timing that I will open those doors for you. And that was the moment that it just kind of came to me that God has a bigger plan. I mean, my goodness, my husband and I and our 3 kids were almost just killed.
Wow.
And he saved us that day.
Bridgette, you just told us this amazing story of the car accident that your family was in, and God appeared to be sending a message, impressing something on your heart that he had plans for you, that he had not forgotten you, he had not overlooked you. But up until that point, you had so many expectations and dreams and hopes that you seemed to feel many people were overlooking. And you had lost hope that this life that you dreamed of may not actually be the life that you'd ever live. This is an amazingly relatable feeling, I think, for so many people. We have hopes, we have dreams, we have plans, we script things out the way that we want them to go, and then God plans something else for us. Moms feel overlooked. Wives can feel not seen. Husbands, fathers can feel not valued or irrelevant. Who did you feel overlooked by?
Looking back on it now, I think just feeling like, did God forget about me? He's the one that created me. He gave me the gifts and the talents that I so desperately wanted to use.
Yeah.
And I think it was just, did you forget about me? And how come you're not opening those doors for me? What is your plan for me?
Wow. Do you think that even if people aren't having desires of being entertainers or performers, that they can feel overlooked as a parent or as a spouse?
Sure. Just maybe not getting the validation from their spouse or from their kids or those people that are most important to them, or someone saying, you're doing such a great job. They might not be hearing it from their circle of people.
Yeah. Or they might be hearing it from some, like you heard it from our family. Bridgette, you're so funny, you're so talented, you're so good at this, but you didn't hear it from the people you wanted to hear it from,
right?
Like the agent.
The people that would choose me.
When you had these dreams and you even prayed that these things would come to pass, it was as if God was saying no. And you shared with me something last night. I think it was a picture or a plaque on a wall that really helped you to put that no into perspective.
Yeah. I think what I saw was the most precious answer God can give us is wait. Waiting makes us cling to him and not the outcome. And that's so good, because if you're waiting on the Lord and you trust in the Lord with his plans and his purpose, I feel like you have such a brighter outcome or brighter thought of what the outcome is. Whether if it's a no, you'll know that God has bigger and better plans for
Yeah.
you. He always does.
Yeah.
And what not better way to feel is to wait on the Lord for his perfect timing or his answer. And sometimes no's don't mean right now. They don't mean no today. It's just not right now. But I've got a plan for you. And I know your heart's desires. I know your dreams.
That's right.
I mean, like I said, God created us. He knows that even before we have to share.
For the people who are watching right now and feeling overlooked, maybe overlooked by a husband, overlooked by their kids, their value is not being appreciated. They might even feel like you said, God, where are you when I need you most? What would you say to these people who are feeling disappointed that their life's not going in the direction that they always wanted it to?
Trusting in the Lord, knowing that he is writing your story. He's got a plan and a purpose. But the most importantly, we are to be in the will of God. And for some of us, it's to be mothers. For some of us, it's to take care of our children, our spouses, our moms, dads. The most important is to bring people to Jesus and share the good news with them. That is our will, or to be in God's will. And let him continue writing your story. Be faithful to him. Do the things that God has called us to do according to his word. And let him open those doors if he so chooses to. I never wanted to feel that I didn't at least try something at my age now, you know? So if you love to dance, go take some classes, go back to school, whatever it is that you feel in your heart that you haven't finished, go do it. And trust in the Lord that God's going to either open those doors for you or close those doors for you, according to his plan for you.
Yeah.
And those doors that he does open, walk through them. Go, because you never know what's on the other side. It could be bigger and better than what you could imagine.